right, you're welcome back. You know, anytime you talk about water, you cannot help but do the song Water. You don't get telling me.
I'm making you
I thought you were going to help me out and finish that. All right, water everywhere, but not enough to drink. That's what we hear every now and again. Every year, the 22nd of March is set aside, of course, to draw attention to the issue of water, the non-availability of it, where it's available, it's not potable, you know, and all of that.
Sanitation,
yes.
hygiene, what they've termed wash now.
Okay, now water is one of the most important substances on earth, as all plants and animals must have water to survive. Many people, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, still trek quite a distance to get water, either for drinking or other uses.
The World Water Day is an annual event celebrated on March the 22nd. The day focuses attention on the importance of universal access to clean water and the need to advocate for the sustainable management of fresh water resources.
Giza is located in Nasarawa State at an elevation of 338 meters above sea level and has a population of close to 140,000 people. Resident in the community, like most communities in Nasarawa State, are predominantly farmers. Giza contributes about 30% of food consumed in the state. Sadly, Giza does not have sufficient drinking water, as most of the boreholes, if not all, within the community can hardly supply water. A larger percentage of the community relies on this pond for water, both for consumption and for domestic chores. This stream is also where cattle rearers bring their animals to drink from.
If you can look at, even if you go to our river today, you can see even Fulani men are like coming around with their cattle. So, in fact, they do get the water so damaged, and that is what we do manage again to drink.
We have a population of almost about nearly 800,000 here. We are in our own surrounding villages. If you are coming towards the town, you discover that it's the same, that stream, which is almost gone. It is a stream we're sharing with animals, human beings, and you know the health impact of that.
For years, members of the community say they have made passionate appeals to the state government to come to their aid by providing them with good, clean, and healthy drinking water, but their appeals appear to have fallen on deaf ears. According to the United Nations, clean, accessible water for all is an essential part of the world we want to live in. Water scarcity, poor water quality, and inadequate sanitation negatively impacts food security, livelihood choices, and educational opportunities for poor families across the world. These residents say they will not lose hope, but will continue crying to the state, local, and federal government until something is done to ameliorate their suffering.
This is the source of the well we have in Giza, but we need help. If at all government will help us so that we get what we get where to get good drinking water to take.
We are appealing to the state and federal governments to assist by constructing boreholes in Kaderuto community.
For these women, all they ask is to be provided clean water so their children don't fall sick anymore. Sophia Ogezi, TVC News, Giza, Nasarawa State.
Of course, the story of Giza is just one of many in Nigeria. Nigeria actually ranks number 2 on the list of countries where there's not enough water to go around.
Quality of water.
Yes, indeed. All right, you're welcome back. And next big story this morning is, well, World Water Day.
WW Day.
WW Day. Our guest on the phone is Philip Japo. Okay, he's actually, joining us via Skype, which makes it even better. All right, Philip Japo, yeah, of course, he's an environmentalist. And, well, Nigeria ranks number 2 on the list of countries that lack access to potable water, clean water, safe drinking water. About 63 million Nigerians don't have access at all. That's quite alarming. What's your take on this first before we move on?
Well, I'd first of all like to say, given the statistics we quote, 63 million, sometimes we hear 70 million, sometimes we hear 50 million, is indicative of the situation in the water sector in the country. We believe that figure of people who do not have access to safe drinking water and water for domestic use is actually higher. And Nigeria getting ranked as the second is also indicative of the fact that we always hear government mention sinking billions into water projects. But unfortunately, it has not translated to anything tangible because the political will to do the right thing is not there. Those who suffer the impacts of these are people on the fringes, people who will then be forced to depend on wholesome sources for water. It is unfortunate, but I believe the figure is far, far higher than what has actually been mentioned.
Wow. Okay, so what do you think is responsible for this? Over the years, there's been quite a lot of initiatives. Excuse me. Government initiatives over the years, in the instance of getting water to the people, access to water. What is responsible for lack of success?
I think the first and foremost, corruption. Because year in, year out, we hear of billions that are sunk into water projects. The World Bank, the IFC, they continue to pump money into the system, but unfortunately, it has not translated to anything tangible. So, first and foremost, we are talking about corruption here. Sometimes we see these projects commissioned, the taps only run for one day, and then subsequently, the taps are dry. So, if we can tackle corruption, I think we can make some headway. I remember under the Obasanjo administration, there was this probe of some billions that were pumped into providing boreholes. Unfortunately, the boreholes are not there. The monies have disappeared into the thin air. Now, virtually every state in this country has also collected one loan or the other. And I think the World Bank project document some years back, I think 2007 or 2008, mentioned that they've sunk billions into the water sector in Nigeria, but all the World Bank funded water projects in Nigeria have failed. Okay. So it means the monies developed wings and flew away. Ironically, this is the situation we find ourselves. So it's not that there's money has not been pumped into the system, but it's a matter of corruption. These monies have been diverted.
All right. Let's paint a clearer picture for our viewers on this particular issue now. Each year, World Water Day highlights a specific aspect of fresh water, and this year's theme is waste water. The campaign highlights the need for improved access to water, sanitation, and hygiene in developing countries.
Talking about the wash, where you have access to water, hygiene, and sanitation. Quite a lot of issues there, but let's put it more in a better perspective for you. So let's begin. Now, more than 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, but the ocean holds about 95%. There you go. That's the Earth's surface there, and 96.5% goes to the ocean. And take a look at what you have access to, you and I, just 1%. That underscores your statement, water everywhere,
but not enough
to drink. All right, so that's all you have there, just 1% available for human use. United Nations and the World Health Organization is advocating that people exploit water as a resource to be recycled and reused to reinvigorate the water cycle. It will also help achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 6.3 actually. One of the aims is to halve the proportion of untreated wastewater and thereby increase water recycling and safe reuse. Recycled water or treated water can be used for industries or for agriculture. Talking about irrigation there, okay, so there you go, treating the wastewater. wastewater is now treasured water. That's basically what this is all about.
It is. But then again, there's the other concept of wasted water. So the little that's available, we're actually wasting it.
Okay? All right. So there we go. Ngozi is putting another slant to it there. So according to UNICEF, water and sanitation coverage rates in Nigeria are amongst the lowest in the world. The UNICEF summary reports Nigeria says Nigeria is in the bottom 25 countries worldwide in terms of sanitation coverage. The Sustainable Development Goals launched in 2015 include a target to ensure everyone has access to safe water by 2030, making water a key issue in the fight to eradicate extreme poverty. Philip, now it is back to you. The Sustainable Development Goals, will it be a reality for the world and everyone to have access to water, eradicating extreme poverty in the process? Philip, are you there?
Well, my take on that is, of course, the World Water Day focus this year is about wastewater, how people contaminate water, and this has led to disease burden. For instance, you have people suffering from cholera, which is as a result of contaminated water. You have dysentery, you have typhoid, which most people suffer from time to time, and of course you have polio. All these are all related to water. That is at the global level. But here, even the little we have is also polluted. We have a lot of industries that pump effluents freely into the rivers, into the streams. In the Niger Delta, you have oil pollution and you have acid rain, which makes these dangerous chemicals, noxious chemicals that go into the air, to pour down in form of rain and then pollute the water we drink. For Nigeria, I don't think we can meet that target. The MDG goals, there were targets set, and I think 2015 was the target set. Nigeria never met it. So the SDGs also, the targets have been set. And with what we see on ground, the fact that there's no political will on the part of the government, we only mount provision of water, we mount education, educating people on how to use water and how to manage water. There's no doubt about it. We are far from it.
Now, Philip, if I may come in here, Philip, if I may come in here very quickly before we take next break. The years 2005, between 2005 2015, of course, was a decade for action for water for life. Now, how did Nigeria really take advantage of this, spotlighting of water as a source of life for us? And I would like you to touch quickly too on the Niger Delta. Is it that one has heard about technology in place to actually clean out some of these polluted waters? What is Nigeria doing about it? If you can briefly talk about that before we go on this break.
Well, if we look at those years you mentioned, what Nigeria was doing was actually mounting those issues. Most of those international meetings where those decisions were taken, we had government delegations attend those meetings. They come back home and do nothing, really. And that has been the bane of, some of these international agreements, statutes that Nigeria, gets involved in or is supposed to be part of, and then we end up achieving nothing. Let us go beyond the figures that are peddled. We all live, for instance, in Lagos. Ask yourself, how many people have access to pipe-borne water? That is just an example. And yet Lagos is at least a model of success. Lagos is a model of, a progressive state. So if the situation is as parlous as we have it in Lagos, then you can then look at other states of the federation. What is happening? People depend on wholesome sources. People, because government has failed people over the years, people have decided to do it on their own.
Yes.
So we are victims of a system that have failed. So that is the picture. We can talk about it. We have government agencies, government spokespeople talking about it.
All right, Philip, let me...
With the grassroots people, there's nothing on ground to show that we are anywhere near achieving those goals.
All right, we'll talk more about it definitely when we return from this break. Stay with us.
Glad to have you back. You're on to TVC Breakfast, and we are looking at our second big story for today, which is World Water Day. How do you use your water? Safe water, good water, access to water. And Ngozi said, when you waste water, it's also not good. And we have with us our guest via Skype, Philip Japo, who is an environmentalist. But then we have more to talk. Philip, I hope you're still there. Okay, so let's continue with the discussion now and bring more perspective to the discussion. Let's see how the world uses fresh water presently. About 70% of the world's available water is used for irrigation, while about 20% is used for industry. There you go. And of course, 10% goes for domestic use, 70% for agriculture, 20% for industry, and 10% for domestic use. About 2.6 billion people have gained access to an improved water source since 1990. In 2015, for instance, 91% of the world's population had access to an improved drinking water source compared to 76% in 1990. There's some appreciable gains, as you can see there, what we have in 1990 to what we have in 2015. But yet, it's not enough. 783 million people do not have access to clean and safe water worldwide. Today, there are more than 663 million people living without a safe water supply. There you go.
Yeah, that's the sad picture about, all across Africa, you actually find people carrying water buckets or bowls on their heads. Actually, that's a typical picture that you get.
This figure says, okay, these people don't, the water they have, the drinkable water that they have, or the good water they have, is not close to them. So they have to trek miles. If you're from a village, I'm from a village. I am. So you remember what it was growing up there. You have to go and source for water. All right, so basically that's what we have here. So let's move on. 319 million people in sub-Saharan Africa are without access to improved, reliable drinking water sources. Sub-Saharan Africa is among the regions with the greatest drinking water spending needs, with the greatest investment needs in rural areas. 2/3 of about 102 million of the 159 million people still using surface water live in sub-Saharan Africa. All right, and that's how much we can take on this, but quite a lot to talk about still.
Like Philip said, if a state like Lagos that boasts of being a trailblazer has issues with drinking water, and I'm sure, for me, I actually buy water every week. Now, how about that?
Me and you both.
Okay, so that's, unfortunately is the situation. So how can this narrative actually, be changed? But before we get back with Philip, who we're hoping to reconnect with, let's bring you this one. Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Water Day with the theme wastewater. Of course, that's why we're discussing this morning.
And Jokeli Jado takes a look at Nigeria and her struggle for access to safe water and meeting global target of proper management of wastewater.
Water is an essential commodity in the existence of man. Water is vital for everyday living. Nigeria boasts of a population of close to 200 million people, with a large percentage lacking access to safe water. In Lagos, the economic capital of Nigeria, the situation is no different, as many people living here depend on boreholes and in some cases buy water from mobile water vendors.
Like this place now, some people come there to buy water. Maybe a bucket is sold at 10 naira, 15 naira. Especially when there is no light at all to pump the water. How they have to use machine, which is using generator to pump the water. So whenever there is no light, that means they will have to increase the price of buying the water.
Water is not accessible to all. For example, where we are talking here, before we have water corporation tap here. But over 20 years ago, We don't have it again. It doesn't come out. So people have to do borehole. So people who don't have borehole will go out to take money to go and fetch from those people who do borehole, because government own is not coming over 20 years.
Water Aid Nigeria reports that 5.7 million Nigerians do not have access to safe water, and because of this, 45,000 children under the age of 5 die from diarrhea caused by unsafe water and poor sanitation. Health experts say non-availability of safe and potable water in Nigeria poses a lot of health risk to Nigerians.
It can really make the people susceptible to different kind of water-related infections. When we say water-related infection, you have a group. You can have waterborne diseases like cholera, like typhoid, like hepatitis, poliomyelitis. Then you can have what we call water-impounding diseases.
45,000.
Did you hear that even water disease, one of them is polio now. So even when you're vaccinated and you drink polluted water, it could affect a child, really. That's
really sad. 45,000 Nigerian children die every year due to water-related diseases. At this point, let's bring in Fola Dele. Fola, do you rely on Merua to get your water? How do you get your water?
Not anymore. No, we get water at home, yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Ngozi. Good morning, Salami. Okay, so let's see what people are saying online. Quickly says, 18 years I spent in Nigeria and I never went a day without clean water. After today, please save the African jokes for yourselves. Misfit says, in Nigeria you provide your own water, security, good health, electricity, etc. Note, an average Nigerian lives by 200 naira a day. Hashtag we must protest. Joseph E. Godwin says, one day clean tap water will run through every street in Benue State, Nigeria, even down to my village.
Amen.
Amen. Dr. David E. Akoto says, lack of access to safe drinking water is a key contributing factor to the high rates of diarrhea and child-related deaths, child deaths in Nigeria. Hashtag why waste water day. Okay, AgroPlus says, the cost to make the whole Nigeria have clean drinking water, is less than 2 billion naira. How much looted funds have been recovered?
Okay.
Adad Diorama says, in 2017, Nigeria wants to be giant of Africa without providing drinking water first. So to be a giant, you need drinking water.
Yes, unfortunately for that, we've disconnected with
we don't have
our
Philip.
guest.
But I guess we could talk.
Absolutely.
Yes, I do want to talk about, there was a tweet there about, Africa, those African commercials you see, or there's a country in Africa that needs water, that needs aid, that needs help. And I think lack of information is a problem, because we don't realize how bad the problem is until you hear that we're number 2. Then you're like, oh, wow. But people don't realize that water is a problem we're still dealing with.
When I was doing my research and I saw this list of 10 countries and I kept scrolling down, I kept hoping that Nigeria would not appear anywhere on that list. But alas,
it was before India. Nigeria was
exactly second only to India.
Oh dear.
It's really a very sad situation.
Well, happy World Water Day.
Yes,
happy World Water Day.
We hope it gets sorted.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank
you.
So.
Bye.
Okay, of course, we have more information for you. Now, exposure to unsafe drinking water, inadequate sanitation, and poor hygiene is a leading cause of cholera and a variety of infectious and tropical diseases in the African region.
In developing countries, as much as 80% of illnesses are linked to poor water and sanitation conditions. In Nigeria, around 45,000 children, you heard that earlier, under 5 years die every year from diarrhea caused by unsafe water and poor sanitation. And one other thing highlighted was that even polio now is a
waterborne
disease. So that's really sad.
Now, nearly 1 out of every 5 deaths under the age of 5 worldwide is due to a water-related disease. So the lack of running water killed more people in Nigeria in 2014 than Boko Haram. Now, this statement is credited to Water Aid.
While the terror campaign claimed that 4,000 lives, the shortage of potable water and poor sanitation led to about 73,000 deaths.
Women and girls are responsible for water collection in 7 out of 10 households in 45 developing countries. It is believed that more than 55 million Nigerians do not have access to safe drinking water. And according to Philip, that figure is actually far higher than the 55 or 63 or whatever number that you want to quote. But that's where we'll have to leave it. Of course, what can we say other than whatever water is available to you, try and manage it, because there's not enough to go around.
And reuse your water. You can treat your water. That's the theme of the year. Reuse your water, recycle the water, treat them, and put them into better use again.
Absolutely. Stay with us. There's more to talk about this morning. We're looking at INEC as we move towards 2019.